Hey guys, welcome to this webinar, CoE Starter Kit Reports to Monitor, Govern, and Nurture Power Platform. My name is Sameer Mohammed, and a quick introduction about AQL Technologies. We are a Microsoft Gold Partner for the past 15 years on several different competencies, do a lot of Dynamics 365. We are ServiceNow Premier Partners, plus other than the commercial and nonprofit, we also do a lot of work with the with the federal government, and it can be the civilian or the Department of Defense as well. Plus, we've been around for the past 15 years, 200 plus experts, and a lot of implementations on Microsoft Power Platform, .NET, SharePoint, and I can just keep going on. So let's go ahead and talk about the webinar rules today. So all attendees can ask their questions and concerns in the chat. If your questions or concerns are not answered by the end of the webinar, we'll get back to you within a couple of days, within 2 days with an answer. So with that being said, let's jump over to introductions. My name is Sameer Mohammed. I am the Microsoft practice lead at AQL Technologies. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let Aziz introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Aziz Qureshi and I have experience working with a lot of clients on installing and maintaining their CoE Starter Kit. And I have also helped many clients in achieving the rate of return from the Power Platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aziz. So now let's go ahead and talk about AQL's CoE installation as a service. Now, this is something that you can find in the Microsoft App Store as well. So AQL's Power Platform CoE Starter Kit as a service is designed to help organizations kickstart their journey in establishing the CoE Starter Kit for managing their Power Platform initiatives effectively. The CoE Starter Kit is just one of the tools in the process to mature your Power Platform, and the CoE Starter Kit Toolkit provides a comprehensive set of tools, resources, and best practices to support governance, adoption, and optimization of Power Platform. Now, here's a QR code for this offer that we have on the Microsoft App Store. Now, so far, we have had 2 webinars on the CoE Starter Kit in itself. The first one was an overview of the CoE Starter Kit. On a high level, we covered the licensing required, the installation process, overview of all the components within the CoE Starter Kit, built-in reports that come with it, customizations, and updating the environment with the latest version that Microsoft releases every month. So how do you basically handle that? So it was the first one. The second webinar was focused on automating governance around common auditing and compliance scenarios in the Power Platform environment. So while none of those sessions are reliant on each other, but I would highly recommend that you go back and watch the first 2 webinars for an in-depth understanding of the CoE Starter Kit. And both of them are available on YouTube. So this is the first one, and this is the second one over here. So feel free to take a screenshot of the QR codes as well. Now, the third one that we're going to be covering, so today's focus is going to be on the reports that the CoE Starter Kit provides. And these reports enable organizations to monitor usage, ensure governance, nurture and compliance and adoption, and optimize performance while you can adhere to the industry standards and regulations. Now let's dive into what's covered in this webinar. So today's webinar session is entirely dedicated to the CoE Starter Kit reports. Okay, so to start with, all the reports which are built in the CoE Starter Kit, they use the Power BI technology, so which means you can customize them as well. So the Power BI dashboard of the CoE Starter Kit provides a comprehensive view with visualizations and insights into resources in your tenant, including environment, apps, Power Automate flows, connectors, connection references, makers, and audit logs, and a lot more. So the telemetry from the audit log is stored from the moment you set up the CoE Starter Kit, allowing you to identify trends over time. So let's run through the demo that Aziz will be covering pretty soon. So the CoE Starter Kit in itself, so the CoE Starter Kit reports are categorized into monitor, govern, nurture, compliance, and adoption. So in the first demo, Aziz will explore the monitor section of the CoE Starter Kit Power BI dashboard. So here you can easily review critical details such as your apps, flows, connectors across your entire organization and specific areas. So additionally, you can delve deeper by filtering and drilling down into data such as department usage, connector utilization, and premium feature adoption. Now, the second demo, which Aziz is going to be giving out, is going to be around the governance reports, which enable you to use insights to drive actions such as risk assessment and resource management. The governance section allows you to take direct action from within the Power BI reports through an embedded Power App. Yeah, through an embedded Power App, granting ownership of or deleting resources as needed. So you are also going to be seeing the nurture reports, which assist in identifying, hey, who's my top solution maker? Understanding the connectors, usage, location, and Power Platform adoption in itself. And finally, the compliance and adoption dashboard. It's basically going to provide insights into governance, compliance, and security. And it basically is offering a high level view of the adoption and a technical depth report for the default environment. So with that being said, before we begin our demo, it's assumed that the CoE Starter Kit is already installed in the environment, and the CoE Starter Kit reports are published in a workspace in the Microsoft 365 Power BI. And just if in case, if it's not installed, and if you're having any kind of issues installing it, which is very typical considering the complexity which is involved in the toolkit and considering the fact that a lot of the users of the CoE Starter Kit basically have their own clients to attend to. In that case, we have the CoE installation as a service. Please reach out to us on that. I'm going to pass the baton over to Aziz, and let's go ahead and see some live demo now.
Thank you very much, Sameer. So as you can see right here, this is the dashboard where we can find a comprehensive overview of each section's purpose. These buttons you see here, these are specific to the resources within your tenant, and they are shortcuts to the resource specific information. Let's take a look at the monitor section right now. So from the monitor section of this report, you can get access to the fundamental inventory of all the tenants' resources. This also shows a usage pattern of the resources across a time frame. So having said that, let's take a look at the reports now. So let's go and take a look at the reports. So as you can see here, this is the production CoE dashboard. These are all the sections. I'm going to look at the monitor section right now. I'm just going to simply click on Power Apps, which is an overview of that. And once I do that, I get this report right here. On the top side, you see these cards right now, which shows you the total number of apps within your tenant, and all the rest of the cards are divided into what type of apps you have. For example, how many Canvas apps, how many model-driven apps, and so on and so forth. It also shows you the number of component libraries you have. On the bottom side, we have three cards right here. On the left-hand side, we have the top environment by app count. So it is this is the environment, the list of your environments with the maximum number of apps showing at the top. In the middle card right here, you have your top 20 app makers that have been creating apps. On the right hand side, you have a map of where all your makers are actually creating these apps from. And these are obviously are very interactive, so I can click on the environment and then I can see for this particular environment who are my top makers, for this particular environment who are my top makers, and of course from where they are creating the apps. On the right hand side here, you see filters, and you can definitely filter your reports according to whatever filters are available for here. So this is for the overview. Like I mentioned, it's an overview of your Power Apps. The next one we have is the SharePoint Form apps. Obviously, this doesn't have any SharePoint Form apps, so that's why this is blank. But if there were SharePoint Form apps, you will have a detail about all of the apps that the SharePoint Form apps are being used in. For example, the app name, SharePoint Form URL, the number of connections. On the right hand side panel, you have connectors that are used in the SharePoint Form app. Again, this is interactive. By just clicking on any of the items, you can see the list of all the connectors pertaining to that selected item as well. You see on the top hand side bottom on the top hand side corner here, you see some filters. So you have some options of filtering here as well. On the bottom end side here, if we had an overview of the Power Apps, now we have an overview of the Power Automate. Again, very important information to know. We have the total number of flows. It follows the same pattern as the apps as well, but this one is for the flows. For the flows, it shows you how many flows have started, how many flows have stopped, and how many flows have suspended. Some pretty useful information to find out about flows. On the bottom left card, you have your top environments sorted out by the maximum number of flows being created in that particular environment. On the center card right here, you have your top 20 flow makers. So you have a list of all of your top flow makers that have been creating flows. And on the right hand side, you have a map that actually shows you where these makers are creating the flows from. And again, you have a filters here, right here, so you can filter out any information that you require. This is the information about your environments. Again, very important information to have. The total number of environments you have, how many Dataverse instances are created within these environments, how many team environments, how many managed environments, how many trial environments, so on and so forth. Now, this is the timeline that you see right here, where these environments were created over a time frame. So this gives you the adoption of how these environments have been created over a certain time frame. On the right hand side card, you have a list of all of the environments and all of the number of flows and the number of apps that are within that particular environment. The blue colored ones, these are for the flows, and the pink purplish, that is for the number of apps. And as you can see, once I hover over that, I get also a box that actually shows me the number of flows and also the environment name. On the bottom left hand corner, you have environments by environment type. So as you know that we can create different environment types. So we have production, we got sandbox, we got development, so on and so forth. So this is going to give you an information of the number of environments by environment type. On the on the center report right here for the environments by creator, this is going to tell you the maximum number of creators that have been creating those particular environments. As in this scenario, we have two environment types, production and sandbox, and this user is the only one that has created those particular environments. On the right hand side, we have the percentage of managed environments. So we can have unmanaged and managed environments. So this is going to tell you the percentage of your managed environments. Again, we have filters right here, so you can filter in some more as you need. These are your custom connectors. Very important information to have about your custom connectors. How many custom connectors are being utilized? How many makers have created those customer connectors? And again, you have a timeline of the adoption of those custom connectors. In the middle card right here, report, you have custom connectors details. So this is going to give you a detail of all the custom connectors that are being used within your tenant and all the necessary information pertaining to that particular custom connector. On the bottom left hand side, you have custom connectors used in apps. So you have a list of all of these apps and all of the custom names that are being used in this app. Another very important information to know. In the middle card, you would have the custom connectors used in flows, the same as what you have in apps. Those custom connectors can be used in flows as well, and they are going to be listed right here. On the right hand side, you have the custom connectors per environment. So this is going to divide all the different environments that these custom connectors are being utilized with the number of with the number of custom connectors used in each environment. Next, we have an overview of Power Virtual Agents. We can create Power Virtual Agents. So this is going to give you the number of bots. This is going to give you the number of published bots and all of the information about the bots that you have. This is an overview, of course. This is going to be your top 20 environments. And of course, it is again sorted out by the maximum number of bots being created in each of these environments. Your top 20 bot makers are going to be listed up in here, and in the right hand side you have the location from where these bots are being created. You have virtual agent bots, so this is going to be a little bit more of a deep dive into your bots. Now this is the same information as we saw before, your number of bots right here, but now you have bot details. So this is going to give you the name of the chatbot name and who's the maker of that particular chatbot, what environment it's being used in, when was it created on, is it been published or not. So you have information right here. On the right top side, you will have a timeline of when these bots were being created and when they were not being created. So you have information about a time frame, period when these bots were created. On the bottom side, what you see right here is the bots per environment. This is divided into all of these environments and the number of bots that are being created in those particular environments. And now, of course, if you hover on any of these of the bars right here, this is going to tell you the environment name and the number of bots as well. Here you have business process flows. Again, you have these cards at the top that give you the number of process flows, the number of makers that have been creating those business process flows. On the right hand side, you have a timeline of how these business process flows when they were created. This gives you an idea of how, when they were created and how often they were created. On the bottom side, you have business process flow details. This gives you all the information about about your business process flow details. For example, the names of the process flows, the environments that have been created, the makers for that. Is it been activated or not, and when was it created? On the right hand side, again, you have a breakdown of all the environments that these process flows are created in. Right here, you have the solutions. Very important information to have is, as you know, we create a lot of solutions. So this gives you detail of all the solutions within your tenant. On the right hand side, again, we have a timeline that's showing you how often these solutions were created. On the bottom left hand side, you have solution details that gives you the solution names, the publisher of that particular solutions, and the environments they were created in, and who's your top, and of course the creator name associated with that particular solution. On the right hand side, again, you have a breakdown of all of the environment that these solutions are created in, and you have the number of solutions per that per environment. You have AI, builder models, so we can create AI builder models. Obviously, we don't have any AI builder models in this tenant, but if you had any, you would have all of the information pertaining to here. Again, we have AI builder model divided into per environment, AI builder model details, and the creation trend for that AI builder model. Power pages, we can create power pages. So this tells you how many power pages you have, how many makers are there, power page details, and power page creates, a creation trend over a time frame. And of course, you have power pages per environment. All of these power pages are not in environment, so this is blank. But if you had in the environments, you would definitely see it here. So this concludes the monitor section of. So let's go back to the about the govern section. So the govern section right here is an is the where the administrator. So as an administrator, you need to get insights within your Power Platform to take actionable steps. Actionable steps such as conducting risk assessment, identifying orphan resources or underutilized resources, and so on and so forth. The reports under the govern section helps you take direct action based on these insights. Through an embedded app within the report, which I will show you in a short while, you can grant access of the resources to yourself or to the other users. You can even delete resources that seem unnecessary and redundant. So let's look at the reports right now. The reports are going. We are going to go back into report section. As we can see, the last time we covered the monitor. In the govern section, as you can see, it says a deep dive, which it really means that this is a deep dive now. This was just an overview. This is a deep dive into it. So let's see how it looks like. So let's go into apps deep dive. This is how the report starts right now. So as you can see here, it tells you the number of apps we have, and there is a plus sign. I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I am going to go by environment name. So this is going to give you a list of all the environments and the number of apps within those particular environments. I can click on any one of any one of these environment names in this case, and they have a plus sign and show me all the connector names for that. So this is going to give me a list of all the connector names in that particular environment. And the list, and we can keep dive into it if you want to look at if there are any orphaned or not. It says that none of them are orphaned. So this is a deep dive into it. You can have a complete information on the apps within your tenant. All right, in here, let me take a look at one of these app details. So let me take a look at the Developer Compliance Center for sake. And as I mentioned that we can drill through it. And I also mentioned that there is a managed app as well. So we can here manage, I'm sorry, there is an embedded app as well. So we can click on Managed App Access. So this is going to give you the app right here. Here from here, it says here that I do not have access to this app. I can grant myself access. I can even add users to this particular app. I can even email the maker if I need to have some more information about this app, or I can just simply delete this app as well if I deem it unnecessary. So some powerful stuff right there from your dashboard. The next step is the same thing is for the flows. Again, we are going to click on the plus and side. We are going to look at the environment names that we have, and we are going to start going into deep diving into some more information for the flows. On the right hand side, we have all the flow details that we have. Again, we can click up in here and I can go into drill through and I can manage flow access as well. So I can manage the flow access from here, granting myself access to it, adding more users to it if I want to. So has been locked down, so that's why these are being disabled. Can even delete this flow if I want to. From here onwards, I have some more information. I can also review flow active score. I can even flow the flow connectors that are associated with this particular. Right here, we have the Power Automate desktop flows. Of course, we don't have any Power Automate desktop in our tenant, but if there was one, you would have all of the information about the desktop flows right here. This is the environment capacity, very important information to have to keep an eye on every environment's capacity. There are 19 environments in here. The total capacity is 66 GB. Database consumption, there are three types of storages within an environment. One is database, and one is file consumption, and one is log consumption. So this tells you how much each type has consumed. This is your top capacity. On the bottom right side, it divides into the all the different environments and the capacity for that particular environment. So some very important information to keep an eye on. This is your environment capacity overview. On the bottom left hand side, we have all the environment names, the actual consumption of that environment, and the real and the rated consumption and what type it is. So some pretty information right here at your fingertips. These are all the list of all the connectors. These are all the connectors, and of course it is sorted out by the maximum number of apps and flows within that particular connector is being used. Purplish, pinkish purplish for your apps, and the blue one is for the flows. Of course, the connectors can be divided into, you got your premium connectors, you got your standard connectors, and you got your custom connectors. It tells you the total number of, connectors for that particular connector type. On the bottom right hand side, we have makers using the connectors. So this is what are the makers that are using the connectors and how many connectors they have, apps they have, apps they have created using those specific connectors. Right now here we have the connector usage. This is going to give you a usage of all the connectors you have. You have there on the left hand side, you have information about your apps. On the right hand side, you have information about the flows as well. So this thing then now concludes the govern section of the report. So let's go into let's go into the nurture right now. So the nurture is where you are, where your Power Platform, as it begins to mature, there's going to be creating, they are going to be makers who are going to be creating solutions. So it is necessary to nurture your maker community. And this is done by making sure that your makers are following best practices. You can collaborate with them to find areas where they require additional support. Through the nurture area, you can find your star makers, and you can find out what connectors are they using most often, where are their geographical location, and what is the overall adoption of the Power Platform. So let's take a look at the nurture section right now. So let's take a look at the nurture section. For the nurture section, we are again obviously going to go back to the reports. If we can see the reports right now. So here you have it. This is your, again, from the report itself. You have the nurture section, you have your makers, app usage, desktop flow usage, so on and so forth. Here you have your top makers. So it's going to tell you you got 21 app makers, you got 11 cloud makers, okay? And this is going to give you your top 10 makers as you want to find out who are your top makers, okay? And the top departments that they are being using. And of course, you have in a huge enterprise, you have many departments, and they all are creating their own solutions. So you can find out which are your top makers and in which departments they are being created. So from here, you can find out your top makers, and you can collaborate with them to find out what's working best for them and what needs to be done. And this is the on the maker cities. You have the list of all the makers that are creating your solutions. On the top end side, you have top 10 cities from where these makers are actually making these solutions. Here you have your power apps. So here you have the launch trend. This gives you a trend of how often your apps were being used within your tenant. On the bottom hand side, we have your app details. So this is all the app names you have here and how many shared they are being shared with. Yeah, when they were last launched and what environments they are in, how many unique users you have for those particular apps. So some very powerful information to know which is your best apps. On the top right side, you have your app launches per app maker. So which was the maker that their apps were mostly used throughout your tenant. You have your app launches per app, so you have a list of all of these apps, and it gives you an information of how many times were these apps been used within your organization. So you have different on the bottom side, you have a list of app launches per classification. So you got standard apps, you got premium apps, and this gives you a list of all of that. Some pretty information to know how your makers are using and who are using it. So this is information about the desktop flows. We can also create desktop flows, and this is going to give you an information about the desktop flows. This is your adoption within the Power Apps. We have an adoption for your premium Canvas apps, for your Canvas apps right here, and your Power Makers over the time. So this concludes the whole thing about the monitor, govern, and nurture. Let's take a look at the compliance and govern and the governance section of this webinar. The compliance and adoption dashboard is designed to highlight governance, compliance, and security insights. So within your organization's Power Platform. So this gives you an insight, and we will definitely go through the report right now. So this is a specific report and there is a specific report. It's just for your default environment to show technical debt. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the report right now. So as you can see right here, it says here Power Platform and Compliance Governance. Here in the pinkish purplish, you have a list of this is the compliance section for your power apps. In the blue one, you have compliance section for your flows. And here on the green one, you have some environments, and you have the custom connectors as well. So here I have this information. Right now, if I see the Power Apps, it tells me that I got 274 apps that are not in solutions. So you could have a rule within your organization that all the apps and all of the solution, they have to be in solution. So this is going to give you an information that, hey, there are some apps that are not in solutions. You can have non-compliant apps. So you have some DLP policies, and those DLP policies change, and all of a sudden those apps are not compliant anymore. So you can actually show you what those number of apps are. How many apps are shared with everyone? Okay. You could also see apps with duplicate names. So these are some very governance rules that you might want to take a look into it. So let's take a look into it, how we are going to use this. So from here, I want to know apps that are not in solutions. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go drill down, or sorry, drill through for that matter, and then click on app details. So once I do that, I'm going to get a list of all of these apps right here. Okay. And as you can see right here in the mail column, there is the mail icon right here. So what I can do is that by clicking on the that mail icon, mail client is going to open up, and I can request a lot, information from the owner for that particular app in question that I like to find out about. And it tells me that if what is the compliance status of this or not, how many I have are being used, and what is the app ID for those particular apps. Let's take another look. So if you can, so this is for the app, and this works for the report is the same exactly for each and every cards right here, except you can see app details pertaining to, let's say, the apps with duplicate names and so on and so forth. On the right hand side, which is the blue section right here, we have in compliance information about the flows within our tenant. Again, very important information to have. There are 165 suspended flows, for example, that are flows 650 that are not in solution. None of the flows are orphaned because all of them have owners, which is a good thing. You can have security issues. You can have a compliance that says rule that says that all of your flows should have HTTPS actions. So this tells you how many flows have HTTP actions, how many flows have typical you have duplicate names, how many flows are using plain text passwords, another security issue that you might want to take a look into it. And again, as for the apps, we're going to right click on there and we're going to click on drill through. Here we have some more items to pick for the flows. You got your flow details. Similarly with the apps I just showed you, you got flow license suspension details. You got flow action details. So you can choose any one of these. So let's take a look at flow details. This is the same scenario as we saw with the apps, but this is pertaining to the flows. And this tells you the state of the flows right here, which are suspended, or they are stopped, or they have been started. We can know the creator of that particular flow, the flow name. I can click on the email icon right here, and then a mail client will pop up, and from there I can request some more information from the creators for that particular flow, and I have the flow IDs as well. Some important stuff. On the right hand side, we have information about the environments. So there it says environments with no apps or flows. There is just one environment that has no apps or flows. You have environment that with open you have environments right here with open compliance, so you can have some custom connect. So let's get back into the reports again. As we can see, we have the green ones right here. This is for the open environment requests. You have non-managed environments. So you have a list of the non-managed environments you have. Environments with no apps or flows. So this gives you some information on that as well. So when we going to right click that, I'm going to go into drill through. I'm going to have all the information, the environment details for this particular information that I am interested in. So this one right here, this is going to give you the environment details. As you can see, this is going to give the environment details of that, of any information that we are looking for that particular environment. The next important stuff is the default environment. And this is your default environment. In your default environment, what you need to do is that you have to figure out, this is the default environment that your whole organization is going to be using. So this gives an insight into that particular default environment. So within your default environments is that flows that are using plain text passwords. You can take a look at that as well. Again, I can do a drill through. I can go into much more details for that. You have top five launched apps. You have your top 5 shared apps within your default environment. You have latest suspended flows. Again, a very important information to know on your production environment. So this concludes the information about the governance and the CoE dashboard.
So now let's go ahead and take a look at the questions over here. Okay, and before that, just once again, AQL's offer Microsoft App Store. So this is the Power Platform CoE installation service. So all those great things that Aziz has reviewed so far, all of that is basically part of the knowledge transfer that we give you if you want to hire us for doing the CoE installation and maintenance. And when I say maintenance, it's really, so Microsoft puts out like a new version of the CoE Starter Kit every single month. And so there are best practices around updating that. And if you have the plain vanilla version that Microsoft gives you, it's okay. But if you have customized it, and I've seen a lot of environments, they go ahead and customize that. They go ahead and add more Power BI reports. They're going to customize some of the flows behind the scenes. They're going to customize some of the apps, So, and if you have that, then there's got to be the best practices for upgrading your environment. So we do a lot of this, So if you're interested, just reach out to us and we can have a conversation on that. So with that being said, so let's go ahead and so review some of the questions that we have had over here. Question number 1. Do end users require a Power BI license to view reports shared with them? Get this question a lot. Yes, end users require a Power BI license to view the report shared with them, and it's just not temporarily. Make sure that those licenses are associated with the CoE Starter Kit. Question number 2. What Microsoft 365 license is required for CoE Starter Kit installation? Like, is it E3 or E5? So yes, both E3 and E5 licenses are sufficient for CoE installation. However, be sure to check the prereqs for any additional licenses required based on your specific use case. Question number 3, and I'm just keeping a track of the time as well. What is the difference between analytics report in the admin center and the CoE Star Kit reports? So the main difference is that the admin center reports are limited in what they show. And so for the most part, they are pretty limited to only 3 reports available. And compared to the CoE Starter Kit, which is basically loaded with a lot of reports. I think that 25, 30 reports is pretty much, what it comes with. So there's going to be, a lot more, analytical reports, that you can analyze using the CoE Starter Kit. So it also reports, the CoE Starter Kit also include reports on additional items like desktop flows, custom connectors, virtual agents, environments, AI model, and all those great things. Question number 4. Can we customize the CoE Starter Kit Power BI reports? Now, I think that, so we talked about the customizations in the first webinar, and potentially been touching base on the customizations in every single webinar as well. So can the CoE Starter Kit Power BI reports be customized? Yes, they are just Power BI reports, and they can definitely be customized. It is recommended, but the thing is that it's recommended to follow best practices around these customizations, around customizations of Power BI, customizations of Power Apps, customizations of flows, because of the fact that if you are just making these customizations within the same reports or within the same flows or the same apps that you have downloaded from Microsoft, then sooner or later you will be updating the CoE Starter Kit. And when you do that, it's going to override all your customizations and you're not going to be happy about it. So make sure to extend it, like add your own flow, add your own, Power App, or add your own, Power BI report, and customize that instead of customizing the ones that come with Microsoft. So this way, you could be using the out of the box plus extend it to, your custom reports as well. Okay. Question number 5. How do Power Platform CoE Power BI reports assist in ensuring governance and compliance? Okay. So really the thing is that, the Power Platform CoE Power BI reports, they enable administrators to monitor data access permissions, usage of sensitive data and resources, compliance and governance. Inside pages provides you with a tenant-wide overview of all the resources and user permissions and adherence to additional, governance policies. Question number, I think I lost the track. This is 6, I believe. How can organizations use insights from Power Platform CoE Power BI reports to optimize their Power Platform implementation? So how can, so the thing is that organizations can use the insights from Power Platform, CoE Power BI reports to identify things like the usage pattern, performance bottlenecks, cost saving opportunities and areas for optimization. So this may involve refining app design, like streaming workflows, optimizing data queries. So pretty much adjusting licensing and resource allocation and provide, targeted training and support to users. So there's a lot that can actually be done. So I think that with that being said, I think that we can just go ahead and take, one more question. So what are some best practices for leveraging Power Platform, CoE reports effectively? So, I think there's some best practices around include, like regular reviewing and analyzing reports, involving stakeholders from across the organization in interpretations and decision-making process. So, just, setting clear goals and KPIs for Power Platform usage, continuing refining and optimizing Power Platform solutions based on insights from reports, fostering a culture of data-driven decision making and continuous improvement. You know, so I think with that being said, we are out of time. Thank you so much for attending this webinar, and this was the third one in the series. You are more than welcome to go watch the first two. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Steve, and stay tuned for our future webinars. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.